It's been a bit of a shock, however much one tries to prepare oneself, and it's very, very sad.
The royal family has seen its share of scandals, but no one expected Prince Edward to set the monarchy ablaze with his latest statement. In just a few words, he shattered the illusion of royal harmony, leaving the nation stunned and the media in chaos. What did Edward reveal that could threaten the crown's fragile peace? And why did he choose this moment to break his silence? Edward's statement was brief but devastating, cutting straight to the heart of royal power. Though he didn't mention Queen Camilla by name, his words struck a nerve that couldn't be ignored. Insiders claim his comments hinted at tensions brewing beneath the palace's polished surface, sending shockwaves through the monarchy. Was Edward exposing a long-buried truth, or was this a direct challenge to Camilla's growing influence? The media pounced, and within minutes, headlines screamed across every platform. Pundits debated his motives. Was it a stand for justice or a royal betrayal? On social media, opinions erupted. Some praised his courage, seeing him as the lone voice daring to speak the truth. Others condemned him for breaking the royal code of silence. The uproar was unstoppable, but one question dominated the frenzy. Was this about Queen Camilla? The palace, scrambling for control, released a carefully worded statement urging family unity without addressing Edward's claims. But royal insiders whispered of heated discussions behind closed doors. It wasn't just a scandal, it was a power struggle, one that could reshape the monarchy's future. But why now? What pushed Edward, known for his loyalty and restraint, to speak out? Some believe his statement was born from years of being sidelined as Camilla rose to power. Others see it as a final act of loyalty to his late parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, defending the values they cherished. But was it bravery or bitterness driving his words? The fallout is just beginning. Supporters rally behind him, demanding transparency. Critics warn he may have shattered his place within the family forever. Yet the most pressing question remains unanswered. What does this mean for Queen Camilla? But to understand this shocking revelation, we must first explore Edward's complicated history with Queen Camilla. Prince Edward and Queen Camilla's relationship has long been a subject of royal intrigue, a connection shaped by duty, loyalty, and hidden tensions. Although their interactions were often polite in public, insiders suggest their private dynamic has been far more complex. From their earliest encounters, Edward remained cautious around Camilla, a figure whose presence reshaped the royal order. When Charles and Camilla married, the media eagerly watched Edward's reaction. Would he welcome her as a sister-in-law or view her as a rival within the family structure? Reports from royal experts revealed a reserved acceptance, neither cold nor warm. During public events, their exchanges appeared formal, with little indication of closeness. But behind palace walls, whispers suggested Edward harbored concerns about how Camilla's increasing influence could affect his standing within the family. Camilla's rise to queen consort marked a seismic shift in royal dynamics. As her prominence grew, Edward's role seemed to shrink. Once seen as a key figure supporting his brother, Edward gradually stepped into the shadows. Media coverage highlighted a subtle sidelining, with Camilla emerging as Charles's most trusted companion. Royal commentators speculated that Edward's diminished visibility wasn't accidental. It reflected a power realignment, with Camilla firmly at the center. Despite the undercurrents of rivalry, Edward maintained his public composure. Yet some experts argue that his loyalty to his late parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, complicated his feelings toward Camilla. The late queen, though accepting of Camilla in her final years, had a storied history of caution regarding her son's second marriage. Insiders believe Edward, deeply protective of his parents' legacy, found it difficult to fully embrace Camilla's ascent. Adding to the tension were differences in their public approaches. Camilla embraced her newfound position with confidence, becoming a visible force in royal engagements. Edward, however, continued a quieter path, focusing on charity work and youth initiatives. This contrast, Camilla's prominence versus Edward's reserved presence, became a symbol of their differing places within the monarchy. Royal insiders also noted a shift during family gatherings. Public body language analyses revealed occasional stiffness, and seasoned royal reporters hinted at private disagreements over royal duties. However, these signs were always subtle, veiled beneath the polished decorum expected of senior royals. Was Edward's recent bombshell a culmination of these tensions? Did Camilla's growing influence spark feelings of displacement, or was it something deeper, an unspoken clash of values and vision for the monarchy? To truly understand Edward's actions, let's step back and explore the life that shaped him. Born on March 10, 1964, Prince Edward was the youngest child of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. From his earliest days, he lived under the weight of royal expectations, but unlike his older siblings, his journey was marked by subtle rebellion and quiet determination. As the spare of the spare, Edward grew up in a world defined by duty, but sought a path that was uniquely his own. Growing up at Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle, Edward experienced both privilege and pressure. With Charles, Anne, and Andrew ahead of him, the line of succession offered him little prospect of the throne. This position created both freedom and isolation. His relationship with his siblings reflected the complexities of royal life. Charles, the heir, carried the crown's burden, often distant and preoccupied with duty. Anne, sharp and fiercely independent, set her course, inspiring Edward's appreciation for individuality. Meanwhile, Andrew, closer in age, became both companion and competitor, a bond that shifted over time as their public roles diverged. Edward's school years at Gordonston, his father's alma mater, were challenging and formative. The harsh Scottish climate, rigorous curriculum, and emphasis on resilience tested his spirit. Bullied by peers and often lonely, he struggled to fit in. Yet, it was through hardship that he developed a quiet strength and self-reliance. Unlike his father, who once described Gordonston as colder than Siberia, Edward later credited the school for teaching him the value of perseverance, discipline, and teamwork. Despite his royal title, Edward found himself in an unusual position. Important, yet far from the spotlight, he became known as the Spare of the Spare, a title that brought fewer obligations but also fewer clear opportunities. Unlike his siblings, who took on prominent public duties, Edward initially sought a different path, pursuing his passions in theatre and production. His early life shaped a personality that was private, thoughtful, and more reserved than his elder siblings. But his childhood wasn't just about privilege or pressure. It was about finding his voice in a family defined by duty. The freedom of being further from the throne allowed Edward to observe the royal machine from a different vantage point. He learned the importance of loyalty, humility, and discretion, qualities that would later become his hallmark within the family. Through every stage of his early life, Edward chose substance over spectacle. His was not a life of headlines but of quiet service and personal fulfillment. He wasn't defined by his position in the line of succession, but by his character and choices. And while the world may have overlooked the boy who stood behind Charles, Anne, and Andrew, Edward's path was already unfolding, one that would set him apart from his siblings. But it wasn't just his upbringing that defined Edward. It was also his love story with Sophie. When Prince Edward met Sophie Rhys-Jones in 1993, few could have predicted the lasting impact their love story would have on the royal family. Their meeting, arranged through mutual friends, felt refreshingly ordinary, a romance born from connection, not protocol. Sophie, a public relations professional with grace and charm, quickly became Edward's confidant and closest companion. Their relationship, built on friendship and trust, blossomed quietly, away from the media's glare. Their wedding in 1999 was a breath of fresh air in royal tradition, intimate, understated, and deeply personal. Held at St. George's Chapel in Windsor, it lacked the grand pomp typical of royal weddings. There were no balconies, no processions, just a simple, elegant ceremony shared with loved ones. The couple's choice to forgo titles for their children also marked a significant departure from royal norms, signaling their desire for a more grounded family life. Sophie's entrance into Edward's life brought more than love. It transformed his public image. Once seen as the quiet and reserved Windsor, Edward found new confidence beside Sophie. She became his greatest supporter and closest advisor, guiding him through public engagements with warmth and authenticity. Together they forged a modern royal partnership, less about spectacle and more about service. Their joint charitable efforts, particularly for the Duke of Edinburgh's award and organizations supporting young people, showcased their shared commitment to causes that mattered. Their approach to parenting further set them apart from the royal convention. With their children, Lady Louise and James, Viscount Severn, prioritized privacy over publicity. Sophie often spoke of wanting her children to experience as normal an upbringing as possible, away from the pressures of royal titles. This decision, rare within the monarchy, reflected their desire to shield their family from the harsh spotlight that had once strained other royal marriages. Through triumphs and trials, their bond remained unshakable. From navigating media scrutiny to supporting one another during moments of public pressure, Edward and Sophie demonstrated a resilience that only deepened their partnership. Sophie's steadfast support during the loss of Prince Philip was a testament to their strength as a couple. Their marriage wasn't just about love, it was about weathering storms together, hand in hand. Edward's journey through life may have started in the shadow of his siblings, but it was his marriage to Sophie that illuminated his path. She didn't just redefine his public role, she redefined what it meant to be a royal spouse. Together, they crafted a modern royal narrative, one rooted in love, loyalty, and authenticity. Yet Edward's journey was far from smooth, especially when he faced his greatest public failure. Prince Edward's life took an unexpected turn when he joined the Royal Marines in 1986, determined to follow in his father's formidable footsteps. Yet his military career ended in controversy. After completing the grueling 12-week commando course, Edward abruptly dropped out, a decision that ignited public scrutiny. The media pounced, branding him as weak and unfit for royal duty. Headlines mocked his failure, and critics questioned his character. For Edward, it was more than just leaving the Marines. It was a blow to his dignity and a public embarrassment he could not escape. The backlash was swift and unforgiving. The press, relentless in their coverage, painted Edward as a royal who lacked resilience. Comparisons with his father, Prince Philip, a decorated naval officer, only heightened the humiliation. Even within palace walls, whispers of disappointment circulated. Edward, who had spent his life in the shadows of his siblings, now found himself defined by failure. The weight of royal expectation, once a burden he carried quietly, became a crushing public spectacle. Determined to prove himself beyond the confines of royal tradition, Edward turned to his passion for television. In 1993, he founded Ardent Productions, a film and documentary company. This was his chance to create something on his terms, a career separate from the royal spotlight. Yet, the venture quickly became another source of controversy. Ardent struggled both financially and critically. Documentaries failed to captivate audiences, and production about his own family sparked accusations of exploiting his royal connections for profit. The media, already skeptical of his abilities, declared Ardent a disaster. Once again, Edward found himself at the center of public ridicule. The sting of his failures weighed heavily on his royal reputation. Edward, once seen as the quiet, dependable royal, was now portrayed as out of touch and directionless. His attempts to carve an independent identity seemed only to reinforce the idea that he was ill-suited for both public life and private enterprise. The criticism was sharp, but beneath it, Edward was changing. With each setback, he grew more resilient, learning the cost of public life, the cruelty of headlines, and the power of perseverance. Yet, the struggles that defined his early adulthood also toughened his character. Edward emerged from these experiences with a deeper understanding of himself and his role within the royal family. He learned that being a Windsor meant enduring public scrutiny without losing personal integrity. His career missteps, though painful, became lessons that forged his humility and determination. Despite the ridicule and the relentless media pressure, Edward never turned his back on service or his family. His journey through failure taught him the value of resilience, not in the absence of struggle, but through it. Despite his setbacks, Edward was destined for a higher calling, the legacy of his father, Prince Philip. Prince Edward's journey from royal outsider to Duke of Edinburgh is a story of quiet strength and steadfast dedication, a path shaped deeply by his relationship with his father, Prince Philip. Edward and Philip shared a bond built on mutual respect and a love for service. From an early age, Edward admired his father's tireless commitment to duty and his passion for the Duke of Edinburgh's award. Under Philip's influence, Edward developed the same values of hard work, humility, and resilience that would guide him through his royal journey. In 2023, Edward was granted the prestigious title of Duke of Edinburgh, a role he had spent years preparing for. The title carried immense personal significance, representing not only his father's legacy, but also his unwavering commitment to service. For Edward, it was more than an honor, it was a responsibility. He embraced the title with pride, determined to carry forward Philip's mission of empowering young people through the Duke of Edinburgh's award, a program he had supported for decades. Edward's dedication to charity work became a defining aspect of his royal life. As a patron and advocate, he expanded the reach of the Duke of Edinburgh's award, helping millions of young people build confidence, skills, and resilience. His efforts were not about headlines or applause, they were about impact and service. Beyond the award, Edward supported causes ranging from the arts to youth empowerment, earning him quiet admiration within royal and philanthropic circles. Over time, Edward emerged as the unsung backbone of the royal family, a figure of stability during moments of crisis. He rarely sought the spotlight, but his actions spoke volumes. Whether comforting the public during family tragedies or stepping in for his siblings during royal engagements, Edward became a symbol of steady leadership. During the turbulence following Prince Harry and Meghan's departure, and through the mourning period for Queen Elizabeth II, Edward remained composed, representing the crown with dignity and grace. Through it all, Edward maintained a calm, measured presence, a trait inherited from his father. Unlike other royals, he never courted controversy, nor did he let adversity define him. He understood that true service was not about spectacle, but about showing up, time and time again, for the people and causes that needed him most. With the Duke of Edinburgh title, Edward stepped firmly into his father's shoes, not by imitating him, but by carrying his legacy forward in his own quiet yet powerful way. His evolution from the overlooked Windsor to a pillar of strength within the family is a testament to his character, a reflection of resilience, humility, and dedication. But could this new role have brought him into conflict with Queen Camilla? Let's explore the tensions beneath the surface. Behind the polished smiles and royal decorum, whispers of tension between Prince Edward and Queen Camilla have long intrigued royal watchers. Despite their outward displays of civility, many believe their relationship has been marked by unspoken friction, a rivalry shaped by power, loyalty, and legacy. But how deep do these tensions run, and what truly lies beneath their carefully guarded interactions? Rumors of discord first surfaced when Camilla's role within the monarchy began to solidify. As Charles pushed for her acceptance, some insiders claimed Edward remained cautious. Unlike his siblings, Edward was known for his loyalty to their late parents, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, both of whom had complex feelings about Camilla's place in royal life. Reports suggest Edward privately questioned whether Camilla's rise to queen consort aligned with their mother's vision for the monarchy. Public appearances between Edward and Camilla have only fueled speculation. Royal experts have analyzed their body language during key events, noting moments of stiffness, distant glances, and guarded interactions. During the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee, observers pointed out the lack of direct engagement between the two, a subtle but telling sign of cool relations. Was Edward quietly signaling disapproval, or were these simply the shadows of a complicated royal dynamic? Behind palace doors, royal insiders have hinted at private disputes. According to reports from those close to the family, disagreements arose over roles, titles, and public duties. Sources suggest Edward felt increasingly sidelined as Charles and Camilla consolidated their influence, particularly after Edward's delayed receipt of the Duke of Edinburgh title, an honor long promised to him by his parents. Some royal commentators have even speculated that Camilla's growing proximity to the king may have influenced his decisions, leaving Edward with a sense of betrayal. A significant point of contention, according to insiders, has been King Charles's unwavering support for Camilla. His deep devotion to his wife is no secret, and many believe it has shaped his choices within the family. But did Charles's favoritism come at Edward's expense? Some royal observers argue that Edward's contributions and dedication to service were often overlooked in favor of elevating Camilla's public profile. Such perceived favoritism may have driven a wedge between the siblings, with Edward feeling that his loyalty and years of quiet service were being overshadowed. But was Edward's recent bombshell about Camilla a direct result of these long-standing tensions, or is there more beneath the surface? Was it an act of defiance, or a final attempt to protect his family's legacy? And now, the revelation that has everyone talking, Edward's bombshell about Camilla. Prince Edward's explosive statement has shattered royal composure, sending shockwaves through the media and public alike. Headlines erupted with speculation. Was Edward exposing a hidden truth or launching a calculated strike against Queen Camilla? Social platforms buzzed with fierce debates. Supporters praised his boldness, calling him a defender of royal legacy, while critics labeled him a disruptor, risking the monarchy's fragile unity. The royal family's response was swift but tellingly muted. A terse palace statement called for family unity, yet behind closed doors, insiders whispered of frantic crisis meetings and damage control strategies. Could this be a sign of internal panic, or a deliberate effort to downplay Edward's revelation? The fallout could reshape Edward's future within the monarchy. Will his boldness cost him his standing, or will it elevate him as a symbol of courage within the family? Some royal experts predict a sidelining from key duties, while others believe this act may force the monarchy to confront long-ignored tensions. The impact on Queen Camilla's public image is equally uncertain. Once viewed as a steady presence by King Charles's side, could Edward's revelation reignite old controversies surrounding her rise? The public may begin to question her role anew, casting a shadow over her carefully cultivated reputation. Edward's bold defiance has left the world watching and waiting. Has he sparked a royal power shift, or simply opened another chapter in the Windsor family's storied saga? What do you think? Is this the beginning of a royal power shift, or just another chapter in the Windsor saga? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more explosive royal revelations.